The first scene features a character named Vadivu approaching an ambulance driver and asking for a ride. The ambulance driver refuses, claiming that the ambulance is only for patients. As a result, Vadivu knocks him out with a rod and drives him away. In the following scene, we see a broker on his way to his duty, but he is also kidnapped by Vadivu. In one of the hospitals, a doctor instructs his assistant to ask for payment before admitting the patient. He then enters a lift, but when the lift opens, the doctor vanishes. In the evening, a surgeon is jogging with his wife when he receives a phone call. He also demands payment before performing the surgery. Just then, Vadivu arrives and kidnaps the surgeon as well. The kidnapping news is broadcasted throughout the city. When the police receive information about the suspect, a group of officers led by DCP Rothnovel heads to the informed location. Soon after, the officers break into a room and arrest a man named Maaran, who is a doctor by profession. While Maaran is being led to the police van, a crowd gathers outside, claiming that Maaran is innocent. Despite being arrested, Maaran smiles and waves to the crowd, as if he doesn't care. Instead of a police station, Rothnovel takes him to an abandoned building. He orders everyone to leave and begins investigating Maaran's true identity. The film cuts to a flashback when Maaran and Vadivu are checking in at the Paris airport. Just then, they're stopped by airport security and taken to a separate room. The security bullies Maaran, asking him to remove his clothes and then telling him to wait there. Meanwhile, Maaran notices a woman who collapses while drinking. Wasting no time, he decides to assist her, but security prevents him from leaving. As a result, he fights the security guards and runs towards the woman. Maaran, as a doctor, performs the surgery right away and successfully saves her life. After witnessing this, the audience applauds for him, and airport security apologizes to him for their rude behavior. Soon after, the rescue team arrives, and one of the doctors recognizes Maaran. Maaran is revealed to be the best surgeon in the world. Before leaving, Maaran advises the security officers not to judge a book by its cover. In the following scene, we see Maaran receiving an award for his humanitarian efforts. Maaran appears to be a kind and humble man who cures poor patients for as little as 5 rupees. He appears to assist the poor in living a healthy life. After receiving the award, he gives a brief speech, mentioning his goal to establish the medical profession as a social service rather than a business, so that poor people can have access to free medical facilities. Everyone appears to be persuaded by his reasoning, except for a doctor named Arjun. Later, Dr. Arjun approaches Maaran and invites him to join his hospital so that they can earn more money together. Maaran declines Arjun's proposal gently, but when Arjun continues to manipulate him, Maaran tells him to shut up or else he will get punished. Soon after, Dr. Arjun's assistant, named Pallavi, informs him that the first-class flight is already full. Arjun, being a high-class individual, chooses to postpone his flight rather than traveling in economic class. Later in the hotel, Maaran video calls his mother, who advises him to pick a decent girl and marry soon. Following this, Maaran and Vadivu visit a coffee shop where they notice Pallavi and her friend ordering a $10 coffee. However, the storekeeper refuses to serve her coffee because she only has $5. She tries to pay with her credit card, but it's not accepted. In the meantime, Maaran approaches her and asks if she can lend him some cash. Pallavi, who is herself running out of cash, becomes enraged and hands him $5, instructing him to get 4 coffees and return the remaining balance for her cab fare. Maaran appears to know magic, so he pulls out several $5 bills from her single note. Pallavi seems to be impressed by his trick, and as a result, they both begin conversing. While they're talking, some thugs break into the restaurant and threaten everyone for money. One of the thugs points a gun at Pallavi and demands that she remove her ring. Pallavi hesitates because the ring belongs to her mother, but Maaran tells her to follow their instructions. Pallavi is heartbroken, but Maaran, through his magical abilities, returns her ring. When the thugs notice this, they return back to Maaran, but he defeats them all with his magic tricks. The next day, Maaran and Vadivu are shopping when they notice Dr. Arjun with a Russian girl. Both of them follow the doctor and end up meeting Pallavi and her friend. Maaran asks if she keeps wandering around the city, to which she responds that she's Dr. Arjun's assistant and must go where her boss goes. The next couple of days, Maaran and Pallavi meet more frequently, causing them to become closer. One day, while they're sitting in a park, Maaran tells her about his upcoming magic show event happening soon. He hands out invitation cards to Pallavi and her boss, inviting them to the show. In the magic show, Maaran keeps a girl inside a box and penetrates it with his swords, but the girl miraculously escapes unscathed. Following that, Maaran summons Dr. Arjun from the audience to perform the same trick on him. Dr. Arjun cannot recognize Maaran because he's wearing a mask. Maaran then begins penetrating the swords within Dr. Arjun, and before penetrating the final sword, he reveals his face to Dr. Arjun, claiming vengeance. Soon after, he stabs Dr. Arjun's body with the final sword and kills him in front of the audience. Just then, Vadivu drops the curtain and both of them flee. Then we see a VIP named Daniel heading towards the crime scene, where Rothnagel and his team are investigating the murder. Daniel appears to be Dr. Arjun's friend who's upset about the loss. He inquires about the murderer, to which Rothnagel responds that the murderer is both a magician as well as a doctor, and promises to apprehend him soon. Before leaving, Daniel instructs Rothnagel to arrest the criminal before he kills him. On the other hand, Maaran returns home, where he is warmly welcomed by the entire society. A few moments later, the health minister arrives and expresses gratitude to Maaran for his assistance to become the health minister. The health minister decides to appoint him to the medical council as chairman. In the following scene, we see Tara, a news reporter who has recently been promoted to interviewer. She is tasked with persuading the 5-rupee doctor, Maaran, to agree to an interview so that their channel can achieve the highest TRP. Following this, Tara and her colleague proceed to Maaran's hospital. Her coworker is looking forward to meeting the receptionist because he heard her lovely voice on the phone. But he's surprised to learn that the receptionist is actually an elderly woman. The receptionist tells them to wait because the doctor's currently playing a cricket match. At the same time, they notice an elderly gentleman donating a large sum of money to the hospital. Tara's coworker inquires as to the reason, to which the old gentleman responds that Maaran saved his son's life free of cost, and that his son has now sent his first salary from abroad. The old man believes that the first salary should be donated to God, and he regards Maaran as a deity. After hearing this, Tara couldn't wait to meet the doctor, so she decides to go to the location where he's playing. When they arrive, they're unable to identify Dr. Maaran because he's playing in a typical middle-class Indian style. Following this, Tara randomly summons a bowler, who's actually Maaran, and inquires about the doctor. Maaran asks if he doesn't look like a doctor, to which she says no. He then points to Vadivu and says, "He's the doctor." Tara appears surprised and concerned, thinking about how she'll take the interview. However, Tara offers Maaran a drink and asks him to persuade the doctor to come to the interview. The next day, Tara is concerned when Maaran arrives at the news office alone. She asks him about the doctor, but at the same time, Tara's boss arrives with flowers and thanks him for agreeing to the interview, leaving Tara perplexed. Following this, the interview begins. Tara inquires whether 5 rupees is sufficient as a fee, to which Maaran responds that there are many poor people for whom the 5-rupee note is extremely valuable. He claims that medicines and treatments should be provided for free so that the poor do not suffer. Furthermore, he asserts that there are some doctors who provide medicines solely for the purpose of profit, rather than considering the patient's condition. He also shares his dream to make all medical facilities free for the entire country. Changing the subject, one of the audience members asks Maaran why he hasn't married yet, to which he responds that he hasn't found the right girl. Hearing this, Tara smiles and says she will pray for him. The film then cuts to the present, in which Maaran is being questioned by Rothnagel. Rothnagel inquires as to why he abducted the doctor, surgeon, broker, and the ambulance driver. Maaran then tells him about a past incident in which a poor father is dropping his daughter at school. While crossing the street, his daughter is hit by a truck, resulting in a horrific accident. Soon after, the father summons an ambulance whose driver contacts a broker and informs him of the emergency situation. The broker instructs him to transport the patient to a private hospital rather than the nearby public hospital. When the patient arrives at the hospital, the doctor refers him to the surgeon, who informs him that the patient will not survive because it's too late. Surprisingly, the doctor instructs the surgeon to fake the operation in order to receive free money. Following this, the doctor tells the poor father to arrange a large sum of money for the surgery. Unaware, the father sells his cab and all his wife's jewelry in order to gather the money. After paying half of the surgery fee, the surgeon informs the parents that they're unable to save their daughter, leaving the parents heartbroken. The parents want to see their daughter, but the doctor asks them to deposit the remaining balance first. As a result, the mother becomes depressed and jumps off the building, taking her own life. After hearing about the incident, Rothnagel breaks down and understands Maaran's motivation for kidnapping those 4 people. Following this, Maaran reveals the location of the 4 of them, but the officers discover that they're already dead. Rothnagel believes Maaran could have easily fled, but instead turned himself into the police. When asked why, Maaran says he surrendered because, for the first time, an innocent person is suffering because of him. The film then returns to a flashback scene in which Daniel and his son are discussing the hospital's tarnished reputation as a result of the suicide incident. At the same time, Daniel sees Maaran's interview on TV, which reminds him of an incident from the past. He then orders his men to assassinate Maaran. The same night, Daniel's men go to Maaran's place and beat him up. As they're about to execute him, his twin named Vetri appears and knocks everyone out. Vetri is revealed to be a magician and Maaran is a doctor. After the fight, Vadivu arrives and takes Maaran away. On the other hand, Vetri takes Maaran's place and informs the police of his whereabouts. In this way, it's Vetri who's been apprehended, not Maaran. Hearing this, Rothnavell inquires about Dr. Maaran's location, to which Vetri writes it down. Rothnavell inquires about Vetri's true identity, to which he responds, magician. He then frees himself using his magic trick and walks away. Following that, he visits Pallavi, who is upset with him. He shares everything from the beginning, including his motive behind it, causing Pallavi to sob and hug him. On the other hand, Daniel approaches Maaran while Tara and Maaran's mother are kidnapped by Daniel's men. Daniel inquires about Vetri, but Maaran is unaware that he has a twin. Daniel tells him about his mother and Tara, but he decides to spare them for the time being. Later, Maaran's mother and Tara arrive. Maaran asks his mother if he is her only son, to which his mother affirms. Just then, Vadivu interrupts their conversation by asking for the key. Maaran suddenly recalls that Vadivu was the one who had taken him away after the previous fight. He then pursues Vadivu to an abandoned building. Meanwhile, Rothnavell pays a visit to Vetri's father, who is also a skilled magician. Rothnavell questions him about Vetri's whereabouts. In the abandoned building, Maaran meets his twin, Vetri, and begins beating him up. Maaran believes Vetri is to blame for his family's plight. However, Vetri refuses to reveal anything and continues getting beaten. When Vadivu notices this, he yells at Maaran and starts explaining the entire story between the brothers. The film then goes into a flashback in Pune, India, where an arm wrestling match is taking place. A pregnant woman named Aishwarya arrives and adds her husband's name as a new challenger. We're introduced to a man named Vetri Maaran, who dominates all of the wrestlers. While watching the match, Aishwarya goes into labor and soon gives birth to a baby boy named Maaran. Following this, Vetri Maaran and his family return to their home, and the entire community welcomes them. A few years later, some city dwellers arrive in their village to establish a factory, but one of the elderly villagers forbids them from doing so. When the dwellers begin to force him, Vetri Maaran arrives and chases them away. The following day, a politician arrives in the village with the same proposal. He claims that if the villagers allow him to build the factory, he will provide jobs for them. However, Vetri Maaran refuses the deal because he believes that establishing a factory will destroy the land's fertility. A few days later, the villagers celebrate a festival, and on the same occasion, Aishwarya shares her second pregnancy, which delights Vetri Maaran. After some time, a hut catches fire, trapping several villagers. Seeing this, Vetri Maaran manages to drop the water tank, extinguishing a portion of the fire. He then makes a way for the villagers to exit the hut, but several children are injured as a result of the fire. One of the villagers claims that their village has no medical facility, so Vetri Maaran drives the injured children to the city hospital. After some time, the doctor informs them that 2 of the children are unable to survive because they took too long to get to the hospital. This news saddens all of the villagers, and as a result of the incident, Vetri Maaran decides to build a hospital in their village. With everyone's support, they successfully establish a hospital. In the opening, 2 doctors, Daniel and Arjun, arrive to work there. Soon after, they inaugurate the hospital, and Daniel informs the villagers that he will try to raise several charity funds so that the villagers can receive free medical services. Vetri Maaran, the hospital's founder, is overjoyed to have the hospital in their village. The next day, Daniel and Arjun summon Vetri Maaran for a private talk. They claim that they must import medical plants from London and that they can only receive subsidies if the transactions are conducted in the doctor's name. They persuade Vetri Maaran to transfer ownership of the hospital to them. Vetri Maaran, being gracious and humble, readily agrees and signs the papers. The first few months go very well, and the villagers are delighted to receive free treatment. Vetri Maaran is at home with his wife, who shares her desire to build more hospitals and make their son a doctor. A few moments later, Aishwarya experiences labor pains and is rushed to the hospital. Dr. Arjun examines her and discovers that she's in good health. He informs Daniel, who asks him to go with a surgical method instead of a normal delivery. Dr. Arjun inquires as to the reason, to which Daniel responds that there is more profit if the patient stays in the hospital longer. According to Daniel, if Vetri Maaran's family is treated unfairly, the entire village will perceive the unfair treatment as a right, which will ultimately benefit them. Following this, they change the delivery report and persuade Vetri Maaran and Aishwarya to undergo the surgical procedure. During the surgery, their carelessness causes the baby to become critically ill. Daniel then instructs Arjun to inform Vetri Maaran of the baby's death due to some complication. Despite being unconscious, Aishwarya is able to hear their conversation. She soon begins to move, and the doctors attempt to restrain her. At the same time, Maaran rushes to the operating room to see his mother. Vetri Maaran also follows Maaran to the operating room and notices his wife's deplorable condition. Before she dies, Aishwarya reveals the deceit of the doctors. Vetri Maaran is broke and confronts Dr. Arjun, who reveals that the plan was Daniel's. Vetri Maaran and Maaran search for Daniel, but the latter appears to have fled. On the other hand, Daniel's men throw the newly born baby into the garbage. Soon after, Daniel's men attack Vetri Maaran and his son. Vetri Maaran manages to conceal Maaran in a truck and begins fighting those men. As Vetri Maaran kills all the men, Daniel suddenly stabs him from behind. Before he dies, Daniel reveals that he wanted to build the hospital for his own benefit, but the villagers refused, so he devised a plan and set fire to the hut. Following this, Vetri Maaran established the hospital and transferred ownership to him, making his job even easier. Daniel also reveals that Aishwarya's death was planned. As soon as Vetri Maaran dies, his newborn baby is seen crying in the garbage. Back in the present, Vetri's current father tells Rothnavil that he adopted Maaran and Vetri after finding them abandoned. On the other hand, Vadivu tells the same story to the twin brother. Vadivu is revealed to be Vetri Maaran's cousin, and he treats the twins as if they're his own children. Following this, the two brothers embrace, creating an emotional moment. Soon, Tara arrives with the cops, who arrest Vetri. In the next scene, Daniel instructs his son to visit Maaran in the clinic while he himself visits Vetri in jail. When Daniel's son arrives at the clinic, he tells Maaran to sign the withdrawal letter, mentioning the resignation of the medical council's head. Meanwhile, Daniel confronts Vetri and taunts him about the past. Vetri responds that Daniel has been mistaking them because he is Maaran, and the other person in the clinic is Vetri, who is more violent. It is then revealed that the twin brothers changed their clothes prior to the arrival of the police. Daniel is stunned and immediately calls his son to get him out of there, but it is too late. Vetri severs Daniel's son's hand, but he allows him to flee. After a while, Daniel's son enters the cab driven by the same poor father. The poor father exacts his vengeance in the same manner in which they murdered his daughter. Meanwhile, in search of his son, Daniel and his men arrive at the abandoned building. Soon after, they're all attacked with glass bottles, just as Vetri Maaran was attacked. Vetri is about to kill Daniel when Daniel's right-hand man named Kashi runs over him with his truck. Kashi steps out of the truck and brings out Maaran. It is then revealed that while Maaran was being transferred to another jail, Kashi caused an accident and captured Maaran. Currently, Maaran notices his brother lying down unconscious and quickly performs CPR, causing Vetri to come back to life. Following that, the fight between Kashi and Maaran begins. After a while, Maaran murders Kashi, and the two brothers go after Daniel. In no time, Daniel is subdued and killed in a horrific manner. The next day, Vetri explains everything to the public and earns their trust. He also supports his goal of providing free medical facilities to the entire country. However, he is imprisoned in the murder case. Inside the prison, he hears about another poor man facing injustice due to corrupt medical personnel. Hence, he uses his magic trick and disappears from the place, indicating that he has started his next mission. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this, and hit the like button to help us out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care.